So we've seen that part of the vanity of existence is utter worthlessness. That from the outside, it seems like life is going to be full of these wonderful, valuable experiences. But then as we get close up and we think about what existence actually is and its very emptiness because of the nature of time and its passage, we see that existence is worthless and that we can't even attach subjective value to it because the minute we are just existing, we are bored, and boredom is the perception of worthlessness and vanity in existence. So Schopenhauer then says then the only kind of value or any kind of enjoyment that we get out of life is in doing stuff. Thus we are condemned to work, you might say. We are condemned to strive. We can't sit still. We are like a runner that's running downhill, but the hill gets so steep that we have to keep running, because if we were to stop, we would tumble and roll down the hill and kill ourselves. And so now we have to look at this aspect of our existence of striving. Is it worth it, or is it all a worthless effort? Are we doing something in vain? What does it mean to do something in vain? Well, it means that you don't get the effect that you want, right? Imagine someone who believes that their friends are in danger in the foxhole that they're in and in combat. A hand grenade is thrown into the foxhole, and the person who's there believes that if he doesn't jump on the grenade, his friends will die. And so he jumps on the grenade and kills himself, but only to realize too late that his friends weren't in the foxhole to start with, that what he did was worthless, was in vain. It not only didn't prevent his friends from dying, but it killed him. That's a wasted effort, isn't it? When you don't achieve the purpose that you are striving for. And that's the key to our lives, actually, because if you remember, when you're striving, you're aiming toward a future goal, aren't you? So say you're striving to get a job that is your dream job. Maybe your dream job is to be a nurse. And so you realize that in order to be a nurse, you have to go to school, you have to do all of these things, you got to become an RN, which means you have to get your BSN, and so you go through all this toil and labor to achieve that position at that hospital of your dreams. Well, that's the point. It's the hospital of what? Your dreams, your fantasies, what's at a distance. Schopenhauer uses the example of a mosaic, because a mosaic is a bunch of broken glass put together that from a distance looks beautiful and achieves its effect, but only by illusion. When you get close to the mosaic, it loses all of its charm and beauty. It's just a bunch of broken glass put in cement. He says that's the future. That's what we aim at. What we aim at, when we actually get it, will never be the same as what we aimed at. So we aim at a certain goal and we imagine it, don't we? We construct an ideal, like we said before. And that ideal, precisely because it is an ideal, is never achievable. And so when we actually get what we're aiming for, we find it never measures up. The goal we actually achieve looks way better in our imaginations than when we actually get it. And so, thus, the future we aim at is never the present we get. And therefore, our effort is always for nothing, because we're always aiming at something that we actually never achieve. But we never realize this. What we say is that we did get it because it looks close enough to what we were aiming at. And then we realize that what we got wasn't really as great as we thought it would be. And any of us who have lived any length of time realize this. That is why when we're kids, we're always so excited for Christmas, aren't we? But as we get older, and the expectation of getting presents is not as exciting. In fact, the more you live, the less exciting future events become for us. because we've lived long enough to realize that the future we aim at is never good, as is always better than the future we actually get. And that is because we never get what we're actually aiming at. It's always an ideal, a fantasy that can never be lived out in real life. But let's suppose you do get it. Let's say you strive for something and you get it and you're satisfied enough. Why are you satisfied? Well, you're satisfied because you're helping people, right? You want to make an impact in this world. You want to make a difference. Maybe that's the other way that your striving is not in vain. Like the person who actually saves people's lives. We remember 9/11 and the first responders who went into the burning building, into the World Trade Center, knowing full well they wouldn't come out alive to save people's lives. They made an impact, didn't they? They did to us, but did they do that to them? Remember what death is. Death is permanent non-existence. To die is to lose all memory of what you've done. That's the stupidity of a bucket list, right? How many remember that notion of a bucket list? Oh, if I can only do this before I die, climb Mount Everest, jump out of an airplane, go to Rome. Yeah, and you do these things and you check them off on your list and you think as you're alive, yes, I'll remember what a great time I had. Yes, you will remember until what? Until you die. And you'll be dead for an eternity. You'll only be alive for a few moments. In comparison, you'll only be alive like a blip that no one will remember, least of all yourself. And so you strive for a memory that you can never keep. It's kind of like someone who goes to a party, gets extremely drunk, so drunk that they don't remember anything they did the next day. But while they were drunk, they had a great time. They had the best time of their life. They had the kinds of experience that would make heaven pale in contrast. The only problem is they wake up and they don't remember any of it. It was as if it never existed, because if you don't remember it, it's as if you never existed. So thus, your totality of what you do in this life, even the impact you make, you won't remember it. It will be gone to you. It will be as if you never existed, because when you die, you don't remember your life. One way that another philosopher, Wittgenstein, put it is death is not an experience in life. And so our death guarantees that whatever we've done will be forgotten by the only people who care about it, and that's us. And so our death guarantees that what we do is like a drunk's memory. But you might say, yes, but my loved ones will remember and they'll admire me, and I will have made an impact on the world that can never be erased. I will have left my mark. Schopenhauer says, you think that because, again, you think as if there's some God who will remember, but there won't be. There's no eternal being. The only thing that's eternal is the striving that occurs through time. Time itself and the process of time is infinite. And in the infinite expanse of time, everything is forgotten. So that 1 billion years from now, the human race may not even be remembered. Who even remembers, as I've said previous, who their great-grandfather is, or their great-great-grandfather? And if you don't even remember who they are, how do you even remember what they did? So you might have made an impact, but that impact is kind of like this beautiful castle that is made in the sand right along the shore. The waves of time come over it and slowly erode it. It might take some time, but eventually the waves will make it as if that beach is a completely smooth surface, as if that castle, no matter how beautiful and artistic, as if it never existed. And so all our efforts are wasted. They're wasted in that what we aim for, we never actually achieve, and we think we achieve it and realize that it's an illusion once we've achieved it, and that even if we do achieve anything, in the great expanse of eternity, our deaths and the deaths of all the loved ones who could possibly remember us will guarantee that it will be like a drunk's dream. A good time while you had it, but meaningless because not remembered. So, existence, life itself, is vanity. It's complete vanity because it looks good from the outside, but once we get close and examine it, we realize that it's worthless. And not only is it worthless, but it's a wasted effort for anything that we could find value in. We must inevitably lose and not even remember that we had it in the first place. It will be as if it never existed. A zero. And zeros are nothings. And nothings are worth nothing.